Business growth is not only about hard work. It is not only about strategy. And it is definitely not only about luck. Real growth happens at the intersection of action, mindset, and energy. And today, we are talking about something most people either misunderstand or completely ignore. Crystals. Not magic stones. Not shortcuts. Not superstition. But energetic tools that influence focus, confidence, decision-making, and intention, the real drivers of business success. So stay till the end, because the last insight might change how you look at success forever. First, let's clear a big misconception. Crystals do not make money fall from the sky. They do not replace skill, effort, or intelligence. What they do is far more powerful. They influence your internal state, and your internal state decides your external results. When your mind is clear, confident, grounded, and decisive, you naturally take better actions. That's where crystals come in. 1. Citrine, the stone of opportunity and expansion. Citrine is often called the merchant stone, and for a reason. Its energy is linked with confidence, optimism, clarity, and momentum. When entrepreneurs struggle, it's rarely because of lack of ideas. It's because of self-doubt, hesitation, and fear of risk. Citrine works on the solar plexus, the center of personal power. It helps you times trust your decisions, times take bold steps, times stay positive during setbacks, times attract aligned opportunities. Not by magic, but by shifting how you show up in the world. Confident energy attracts confident outcomes. 2. Pyrite, the stone of strategic wealth. Pyrite looks like gold, and energetically, it represents structure and strategy. This is not a dreamy crystal. This is a builder's crystal. Pyrite supports times logical thinking, times planning, times leadership, times protection from impulsive decisions. Many businesses fail not because of lack of effort, but because of poor structure. Pyrite grounds ambition into practical action. It is especially powerful for times business owners, times investors, times managers, times entrepreneurs handling money decisions. It reminds you to build wealth intelligently, not emotionally. 3. Tiger's Eye, the stone of courage and risk control. Growth requires risk. But uncontrolled risk destroys businesses. Tiger's Eye balances fear and confidence. It helps you times take calculated risks, times stay calm under pressure, times handle competition without intimidation, times speak with authority and presence. This crystal is deeply connected to confidence through stability, not ego. For entrepreneurs who overthink, hesitate, or fear failure, Tiger's Eye is grounding and empowering. It doesn't push you blindly forward. It teaches you when to move and when to pause. 4. Green aventurine, the stone of opportunity flow. Green aventurine is associated with luck, but not random luck. It aligns you with opportunity awareness. You start noticing times the right collaborations, times the right timing, times the right openings, times the right people. Opportunities exist everywhere. Most people simply don't see them. This crystal supports an open, receptive mindset, critical for growth, especially useful for times startups, times new ventures, times expansion phases, times networking and partnerships. 5. Clear Quartz, the amplifier. Clear Quartz does not work alone. It amplifies intention. Think of it as a magnifying glass for your focus. When your goals are clear, quartz strengthens them. When your thoughts are scattered, quartz amplifies confusion too. That's why clarity matters. Used correctly, clear quartz helps times strengthen business intentions, times maintain mental clarity, times boost consistency and discipline, times enhance manifestation practices. This crystal teaches responsibility. It reflects exactly what you project. Now, the most important truth. Crystals respond to conscious intention. If you use them while times avoiding responsibility, times waiting for miracles, times running from action. Nothing will change. But if you combine them with times clear goals, times focused action, times emotional discipline, times consistent effort, they become powerful allies. Energy follows attention. Results follow alignment. How to use crystals for business growth, practical and grounded. You don't need rituals. You don't need complicated practices. Simple steps work best. Times keep them near your workspace. Times hold them while setting business goals. Times use them during planning or journaling. Times let them remind you of your intention daily. Crystals are anchors, not solutions. They keep you aligned when motivation drops. Final perspective. Listen carefully. Business growth is not external. It is internal expansion reflected outward. Your confidence, your clarity, your courage, your consistency. Crystals don't give success. They help you become the version of you who naturally succeeds. Now, here's my question for you. Do you believe success is more about strategy, or about the energy and mindset behind the strategy? Comment your perspective below. And one more thing most people never talk about. Crystals are mirrors. They don't create energy. They reflect and stabilize the energy you already hold. That's why two people can use the same crystal and get completely different results. One grows, one feels nothing, because the difference is inner alignment. When your intention is clear, disciplined, and honest, crystals help you stay in that frequency longer. They help you return to focus when doubt creeps in. They act as energetic reminders, not miracles. And this is where business growth actually begins. Growth is not a sudden breakthrough. It is a series of aligned decisions made consistently, even when motivation fades. Crystals support consistency. They subtly influence your nervous system. They calm impulsive reactions. They ground emotional overwhelm. They help you respond instead of react. And in business, the ability to respond calmly is priceless. Think about it. The deals you accept, the people you trust, the risks you take, the boundaries you set. All of this comes from your internal state. That's why successful entrepreneurs are not the busiest. They are the most regulated. Crystals support regulation, not through fantasy, but through focus, symbolism, and energetic anchoring. Your brain associates meaning with objects. That's neuroscience, not spirituality. When you touch a crystal before making a decision, your mind pauses. You breathe. You think. That pause alone can save years of mistakes. And this is the real power. Not attraction, not superstition, but intentional awareness. Crystals slow you down just enough to choose wisely. So if you are building a business, remember this. Don't ask crystals to bring money. Ask them to keep you clear when pressure rises. Ask them to keep you confident when fear appears. Ask them to ground you when emotions take over. Because money follows leadership. And leadership begins within. If this perspective shifted something inside you, even slightly, that means the work has already started. Stay conscious. Stay consistent. And never forget, growth is not forced. It is allowed. And when mindset, action, and energy align, business expansion becomes natural. Now tell me, which crystal energy resonates with your current phase of growth? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If this video gave you a new way to think, like it, subscribe, and share it with someone building their dream. And remember, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. See you in the next video. There is another layer most content never reaches. And this layer is uncomfortable because it removes fantasy. Crystals do not work because the universe is listening. They work because you are listening. Your nervous system responds to symbols. Your subconscious responds to meaning. Your body responds to consistency. When a business owner touches a crystal daily with intention, the brain builds a neurological anchor. That anchor becomes a trigger. Trigger for focus. Trigger for seriousness. Trigger for discipline. This is behavioral conditioning, not magic. And the most successful people on earth use anchors, whether they admit it or not. Some wear watches. Some have rituals. Some sit the same way before meetings. Some repeat phrases internally. Crystals simply make the anchor tangible. And tangible anchors are powerful, because the brain trusts what it can touch. Now let's talk about why business growth fails at the energetic level. Not because of bad luck. Not because of competition. But because of inner contradiction. One part of you wants expansion. Another part fears responsibility. One part wants wealth. Another part fears visibility. One part wants success. Another part is addicted to comfort. This internal split leaks energy. Crystals do not give energy. They stabilize coherence. They help align fragmented intention into one direction. That's why people feel centered around certain stones. Centered means less internal noise. And less noise means better decisions. Business is nothing but decision-making under pressure. Pressure reveals regulation. Crystals support regulation. Not emotionally, but neurologically. Certain minerals vibrate at stable frequencies. The human body, being bioelectrical, entrains to stability. This is physics. Resonance. Entrainment. When your system is chaotic, stability calms it. That's why holding a crystal during stress often feels grounding. It's not belief. It's regulation through resonance. Now here is a truth very few say clearly. Crystals will not help a dishonest mind. If your intention is manipulative, if your business harms others, if your growth is rooted in insecurity, crystals feel heavy, unresponsive, even irritating, because coherence cannot support contradiction. That's why some people abandon crystals and say they don't work. What they really mean is, I don't want to face my inner resistance. Growth always demands integrity. Crystals amplify integrity. They expose self-deception. This is why conscious entrepreneurs use them quietly, not performatively. Now let's talk about abundance without romance. Money is stored energy, but it flows through trust systems. Trust in yourself. Trust from others. Trust in your decisions. If you don't trust yourself, no strategy works long-term. Crystals like citrine and pyrite strengthen self-trust loops. Self-trust is built when times you keep promises to yourself, times you regulate emotions under stress, times you act even when uncertain. Crystals don't replace this. They remind you of it. They bring you back to center when fear hijacks logic. And fear is the real business killer. Fear delays action. Fear creates overthinking. Fear attracts chaos. A regulated mind creates predictable growth. This is why rituals matter. Not spiritual rituals. Behavioral rituals. When you sit with a crystal before work, your body enters execution mode. Over time, this conditions productivity. That's embodiment. Embodied intention beats motivation every time. Motivation fluctuates. Embodiment stays. Now here is the most grounded perspective of all. Crystals are not for people who want results fast. They are for people who want results stable. Slow growth that compounds. Calm confidence that lasts. Success without burnout. Because real wealth is not money. It's capacity. Capacity to hold responsibility. Capacity to lead. Capacity to scale without collapse. Crystals support capacity expansion. They do not rush you. They stabilize you. And stability is the rarest advantage in business. So if you are using crystals, ask better questions. Not, what will this give me? But, who does this help me become? Because the moment you become congruent, growth follows automatically. No chasing, no forcing, no desperation. Just alignment. And alignment is the highest form of strategy. Now pause for a moment. Reflect honestly. Are you building success? Or are you trying to escape insecurity? Your answer determines everything. Drop your reflection in the comments. This space is for conscious builders only. If this depth resonated, like, subscribe, and stay connected. Because we don't chase growth here. We become it. There is one final layer that separates surface knowledge from mastery, and that layer is identity. Most people try to grow a business while remaining the same person internally. That never works long-term, because growth demands expansion of identity. Your nervous system must learn to tolerate times more visibility, times more responsibility, times more uncertainty, times more judgment, without collapsing. This is where many people self-sabotage unconsciously. They delay launches. They underprice themselves. They avoid scaling. They stay busy but not effective. Not because they are lazy, but because their internal system is protecting an old identity. Crystals interact with identity through repetition and association. When you use the same crystal during planning, execution, and decision-making, your subconscious links that object to authority and grounded action. Over time, something shifts. You don't try to be confident. You access confidence. You don't force clarity. You enter clarity. That is embodiment. And embodiment is what makes leadership believable, even in silence. People trust those who are regulated. Not loud. Not aggressive. Not flashy. Regulated. Crystals support regulation by becoming symbols of self-command. They don't give power. They remind you that you already have it. Now listen carefully to this truth. If you remove all crystals tomorrow, the growth should still continue. If it doesn't, then dependency has replaced discipline. True tools make you stronger without attachment. Crystals are meant to train your state, not replace your will. That's maturity. This is why the most conscious use of crystals is temporary yet transformative. They are teachers, not crutches. They teach you how it feels to be aligned. Once you know that feeling, you can return to it anytime. Without objects, without rituals, without external validation. And that is freedom. Business growth without inner freedom always leads to burnout. But growth rooted in identity expansion becomes sustainable, calm, precise, compounding. So ask yourself one last question. Are you building a business? Or are you becoming the person capable of holding its success? Because the market doesn't reward effort. It rewards capacity. And capacity is built internally, before it ever shows externally. If this message resonated, stay with this channel. We don't promise shortcuts. We build foundations. And foundations last.